It's actually the daily dessert today, even better. Trudy's making pumpkin spice blondies for us. Here's what you need for this recipe. Almond flour, pumpkin puree, coconut oil, ground flaxseed, cinnamon, ginger, cloves, nutmeg, salt, coconut palm sugar, and baking powder. Trudy, these sound so good, and they're also good for us as far as desserts go, right?
Absolutely, Tracy. And with Thanksgiving right around the corner, what are we doing? We're eating all of those different treats. So these pumpkin spice blondies will give you lots of those fall flavors without all of that bad stuff.
Now, I know what you need to do to start the recipe is you preheat the oven, but then you're going to start getting into some ground flaxseed. And I'd love for you to chat a little bit about why that's an important substitution.
Feel free to use eggs in this recipe, but I'm using flax eggs instead because it's a healthier substitute, and also this will make this baked good vegan as well. So ground flaxseed is a great replacement for eggs in things like baking, as well as things like homemade burgers, because it helps to bind things together. And the other benefit to ground flaxseed is that it's a great source of fiber, and a lot of people are lacking fiber in their diet. And finally, flax seeds are a great source of an antioxidant substance called lignans, which is helpful for hormonal health as well as digestive health, and then just making you feel healthier overall as well.
Okay, that sounds amazing. How do we start?
All right, so to make our flax egg, what we'll do is we'll take 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed and then 5 tablespoons of water, and then we'll just add that together. And then we just want to mix it up. So I just take a fork, I keep it simple, and I just mix everything all together. And then I pop it in the fridge for about 5 to 10 minutes, just so that it gets nice and gelled up, so that it helps to do those binding properties in our baked good. So I already have one here prepared. So as you can see, it just looks like a little bit jelly like that, like once you put it in the fridge and allow it to firm up. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pop that into the bowl. And then the next thing we do after we add our flaxseed egg is we're gonna add in those healthy fats. So I'm gonna add in some coconut oil. And coconut oil is our butter replacement in this recipe. And it's a healthier fat that's also gonna help with, absorbing a lot of the other vitamins and nutrients that we're eating as well.
You do not have to sell me on the benefits of coconut oil, girl. I use it in everything, for cooking, for lotion, everything you can imagine. I love coconut oil.
I love it too. I actually use it as a cuticle oil.
Yes. What's your next step?
All right, so now that we've added in our coconut oil, the next thing we're gonna add is our coconut palm sugar. So coconut palm sugar is gonna be a replacement for just regular sugar. So coconut palm sugar is my go-to sugar in my kitchen. I love that it doesn't spike your blood sugar as much, and it makes a great addition to baked goods as well as your coffee. And it has like a nice caramelly taste as well. So I'm gonna pop that in. And once we've added these first few ingredients in the bowl, we're just gonna go ahead and just whisk everything together. Then next up, I'm gonna go ahead and add that pumpkin puree.
Can we talk a little bit about the pumpkin puree? What is the difference between a pumpkin puree and, let's say, a pie filling?
It's just cooked and mashed pumpkin versus pumpkin pie filling. It's cooked and mashed pumpkin, but it also has added sweeteners and extra spices. And because we're adding our own spice blend to this, we don't need that.
So you've thrown that in, and then what's next, Trudy?
So we're gonna add in these fall spices, those fall spices that we love, that's gonna give us that pumpkin spice flavor. And it all starts with cinnamon, which is one of my favorite spices because it's really great for helping to regulate your blood sugar. We'll add in some ground ginger. I love ginger in baking. And then a little bit of cloves and some nutmeg. And we'll go ahead and just whisk all of that together. All right, so once we have all of that whisked together, the next thing we're gonna add is our almond flour. And I love using almond flour in baked goods because it's a much healthier substitute for all-purpose flour, which is refined and has a lot of the nutrients removed from it during the processing. The other great thing about almond flour is that it's gluten-free, it's a healthier fat, and also with a decent source of protein. So that's gonna help to keep you satisfied in between meals. So when I add in the almond flour, I just make sure to just add in a little bit at a time and whisk. Otherwise, we're gonna get that flour bomb in our kitchen and the flour is gonna go everywhere. So if you don't want that cleanup, then I would recommend adding in a little bit of flour at a time.
Now, I know your next step is going to be to throw the blondies on a tray with some parchment, and I'm wondering, why do you want to use the parchment paper?
Because parchment will avoid having your blondie stick to the pan, and it's just so much easier for cleanup afterwards. So I'm just gonna finish it off with some baking soda, some baking powder, and some salt. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that into the pan. So once we add it to our pan, the next thing I'm gonna do is just kind of smooth it out just so that we get like a nice smooth layer. And then once we do that, we pop it in the oven and they look like this when they're done.
Thanks so much for that recipe. That'll be on our website, Cityline.